Okay, guys, here's 3 problems for your warm-up. If you'll please try these, and then we'll go over them. Okay, so the first one says express as a single log. So guys, you'll notice that it's written as log and another log. So I want my answer just with 1 log, that's it. Okay, so think about your properties. Minus means division, but first you want to try to take care of this 1/2, and it becomes the exponent. We talked about this yesterday. If I have 9 to the 1/2 power, that's the same thing as good, same as square root of 9, which really means that's a 3. Okay? So I've got log base 2 of 16 minus log base 2 of 9. And subtraction means division. So I've got log base 2, whatever number's first goes on top, and then this, remember, we decided was a 3. And now you've written it in 1 log. Okay? Now, in my opinion, number 2 is a little bit harder just because we haven't done it as much. But on number 2, actually, it's telling me to solve, right? And yesterday we discovered sometimes there's 2 logs on one side. If there's 2 logs on one side, we put them together. Sometimes there might be a log on the left and a log on the right. What happens when there's a log on the left and a log on the right? What do we do? Good, the property says they just cancel, okay? So this one, none of those issues apply, right? I don't have a log on the left, I don't have a log on the right, I don't have 2 logs on the left. So you're just gonna solve the problem, just like we've been doing in the past. So what you're gonna do here is turn this into an exponential problem. The base is 10, so you're gonna write 10. The exponent is 1. Well, what's 10 to the first power? 10. Okay, so I'm just gonna leave it as 10. And it equals x squared minus 3x. Okay, right? It equals what's here. Now then, the next step, we know that you can't leave it like this. It's quadratic, right? So in a quadratic, we move the 10 over to the other side. So then you're gonna have 0 equals x squared minus 3x minus 10. We want everything on the right. Agree? So I taught you also, let's set your set of parentheses up and let's just factor. Okay, an x is gonna go here and here. Now then you have to find out, okay, I want numbers that are gonna add to give me -3 and multiply to give me -10. If you're trying to get -10, there's only 2 ways, 10 and 1 and 2 and 5. Which way gives me 3? The 2 and the 5. So now you just have to pick your signs. So you know this is 2 and 5. You want a -3. So we're gonna make this, the bigger one, negative, and this positive. Right? And then the next step we learned is that now all we did was factor. We didn't actually write the answers. So those are the factors. The roots are actually the opposite, -2 and +5. And the last thing we learned, like right at the very end of the class period, was you can't have what kind of answers?
Negative.
The negative. So the answer is actually x equals 5. And if you're wondering why you can't have a negative, just if you say log base 2 to the 2 power, 2 squared lands me at 4. It's positive, isn't it? If I say log base 2 to the -2, then this just gives me 1/4. So it didn't matter if my answer was negative or positive. The number that follows a log is always positive. Okay, the last one. Express in terms of log m and log n. This is where you're going to actually expand it. It's written compressed, you're going to expand. Right? So what did multiplication mean? Do y'all remember? Addition. Good. Okay. And I'm going to rewrite this as n to the what power? 1/3. Excellent. So this is actually going to say log m plus log n to the 1/3. But I didn't ask for put it in terms of log n to the 1/3. I said put it in terms of log n. So where does the 1/3 go? In front. And some of you may have just skipped straight to this step, and that's perfectly acceptable. But because it's notes, I was just trying to walk you through it. Okay? All right, so now then we're going to have to finish up. We have like 3 problems left from yesterday's notes. Okay, so we're going to finish up yesterday's notes, and we made it, I think, 1 through 4. So here's number 5. The directions were just to solve. So log base 10, it just doesn't have a base, so plus log of x plus 15. Remember, if there's no base, it just means it's 10 equals 2. Okay, so let's see what you remember from yesterday. what is my first step when I'm asking you to solve and you have two logs on the same side? Good. When you have two logs on the same side, you put them together, you combine them. So you're going to combine these. What does plus mean?
Multiply.
Multiply. So technically I have log, right? And I'm going to take an x times an x plus 15. Right? And I'm going to distribute, which gives me x squared plus 15x. And it equals 2. And really what ends up happening, you guys, right here is this all, now it's just like the warm-up that we just did. Okay? It just took us one extra step to get to the warm-up. Now when I tell you the base of this log is when nothing's written. 10, excellent. So we're gonna put a little 10 in there if that helps you. Okay, and then so I'm solving for x. So I know that 10 squared actually equals x squared plus 15x. What's the value of 10 squared?
100.
100. Okay, it's a quadratic. So you need to move the 100 over to the other side. You want it to say 0 equals x squared plus 15x minus the 100. Right. So now, then, we're going to factor. So you're going to set your sets of parentheses up. I want numbers that add to give me 15 and multiply to give me 20. I'm going to list my factors of 100. I said 20, I meant 100, I'm sorry. Numbers that add to give me 15, multiply to give me 100. There's 1 and 100, 2 and 50, right? 5 and 10. 5 and 10 give me 15. Agree? Okay. But,
10 times.
oh, I'm so sorry.
25.
I was just, I don't know what I was thinking. Let's try again. How about 5 and 20? Do y'all like that better? Yeah, me too. Okay, sorry. On my planet, I guess 5 and 10 made 100. So now then, I want a positive 15. So this is gonna, the 20 is gonna be positive and the 5 is gonna be negative. So I know my x's go here, and the two numbers I had were 20 and 5. You had to pick their signs. That means that the answer are the opposites, remember? So negative 20 and 5. We talked about we can't have negative, so x is just 5. Is it getting easier and easier? It really does. Okay, so then here's the last concept that we ran out of time for yesterday. Okay, there are two ways. You can divide your page into two ways here to work this problem. If I said 2 to the x minus 3 equals 8, okay, how would I solve that problem? What have we learned to solve? Yeah, we rewrite it with the same base. It's called change of base. Okay, we change the base and we say, all right, I know I can rewrite 8 as 2 to the third power. So you write 2 to the x minus 3 equals 2 cubed. And then we set these equal, oops, I missed, sorry. You set these equal to each other. So x is 6. Agree? That's how we've been doing it. Okay, well, now I'm going to teach you another way that you're going to be really mad that I didn't show you before. But let me explain the purpose behind it. If you can't understand this concept, this is telling you what logs are, right? Logs are basically finding an exponent. But kind of like if I asked you to take 15 divided by 3, you would just tell me, yeah, that's easy. The answer is 5. Not a big deal, right? And that's kind of what we're talking about with changing base. We can do it without a calculator. It's not a big deal. Now, when you get a little older or you get better at it, the teacher will teach you, all right, 3.5. And yeah, you can do that. You move the decimal and divide. It's a little more of a pain, but it's acceptable, right? Okay, but then if your teacher said, all right, would you take 15 and divide by 3.72894? No way, right? It would take forever and it's pointless. Why? Because what will do that for us? Okay, we've already proven we know how to divide by doing a simple problem, right? We don't need to do this when we know our calculator will do it for us. Well, that's the point of a log. Not all exponents are pretty, right? You can't, like I know that 2 cubed is 8, right? But what if I said 2 to the what power is 9? I don't know. Right? I know it's a little more than 3, right? It's 3 point something, right? But the exact answer would take me forever. I would have to multiply, right? So instead, we just make our calculators do it for us. Kind of like here. I could get the answer and it would take forever, or I could have a calculator do it, right? So we're gonna go to the numbers that aren't as pretty and let our calculators do the work for us, okay? So here's a problem. So if I told you 5 to the x equals 8, is there a common base? Is there a common base? No way. There's not. Okay? So this is what you do. When you get a problem and you're like, I cannot change this base, okay? Just like in the equation, if you do one thing to one side, are you allowed to do the exact same thing to the other side? Absolutely. So that's what we're going to do here. When you get an exponent and you cannot change the base, you do something called log both sides. Okay? So write that out for me and I'll show you what I mean. We're going to take this side and we're going to write log. And what was there? A 5 to the x power, right? Then we're going to take this side and we're going to write log. And what was there? A number what? A number 8. And then we're going to use our properties that we studied yesterday. And what do we know when we have an exponent? Where does the exponent actually lead? Where does it go? In the front. So I'm going to rewrite this as saying, okay, x log 5 equals log 8. Got it? Now the next step. How do I get x, because I'm trying to solve for x, how do I get x all by itself? What do I need to get rid of? The log 5. What operation is that? It says multiplication, so how do I get rid of multiplication? Divide. So you're just going to divide this side by log 5 and divide this side by log 5. So x equals, right, get your calculators out. Okay, now, hang on, before you type anything in your calculator, let's use some common sense here. I know 5 to the first power is 5, and I know 5 to the second power is 25, right? I'm asking you 5 to what power gives me 8? What's it going to be really close to? 1. It's going to be really close to 1. Okay, so on your calculator, if you'll turn it on for me, and you'll see the word log, and the word log is by the number 7. You'll see it? So we're going to type in log, we're going to type this in right here, log 8, close the parentheses, divided by log 5. Close the parentheses, and hit enter. Was our estimate correct?
Yeah.
What was it? 1 point, let's round to the nearest hundredths, 1.29. So I know that 5 to the 1.29 power gives me 8. Let's test it. 5 raised to the 1.29202. I'm just going to put a few more numbers in there to be more accurate. Did I get 8?
Yeah.
Absolutely. But it would take me forever to have done that mathematically. So your calculator just does it for you. Okay, no different than your calculator doing this huge division problem rather than you doing it. Okay, so let's try another one. These are so simple because you don't do anything. Okay, 3 to the x equals 12. Can I rewrite 3 and 12 with a common base?
Yeah.
What base? No, 3 squared is 9, right? It won't get me anywhere. So I can't. Now in my head, I know that 3 squared is 9 and 3 cubed is 27. So I'm asking 3 to what power is 12, then I know it's a tiny bit more than 2. If you want to just do some guess and check kind of thing. Because I know that 3 to the second power is 9. So it's just a little bit over 2. Okay, so if you can't rewrite it in the common base, then you log both sides. So log of 3x equals log of 12. What happens to that x? Where does it belong? It's pushed where? To the front, right? So to solve for x, to get x all by itself, what are we going to do? Divide both sides by log 3, I'm sorry. Try it in your calculator. You know if you did it right if your answer is a tiny bit more than 2. So in your calculator, log 12 divided by log 3. If you forgot how to do it, the log is by the 7. So log 12, close your parentheses, divided by log 3. Did you get what we thought it would be? A little more than 2, so 2.26. In other words, 3 to the 2.6 gets me to 12. You found an exponent without doing any work. Okay? All right, then here's another one. What if I give you 2 to the x minus 3 equals 100? Okay, can you rewrite, I can't rewrite it. Can't get from 2 to 100. Okay, so what am I gonna do to both sides to get this solved?
Log it.
Thank you. What am I gonna do?
Log it.
Log. Now, if you can see logging both sides is gonna push that x minus 3 in front, then go ahead and do that. Okay, you don't have to actually write log 2 to the x minus 3 equals log 100. If you notice that what's gonna happen is this gets pushed in front. So really what you end up with is this. And if you wanna skip that step and go straight to the third, that's fine with me. Okay, now to get x by itself, I'm gonna divide both sides by log 2. So in your calculator, you're gonna do log 100 divided by log 2. So x minus 3 equals approximately 6.64. What are you gonna do to both sides now? Add what? Add 3, excellent. So add 3 to both sides. So x actually equals 9.94. 9.64, I'm sorry. So it's 9.64. Okay, last one, and then you can do your practice. Number 3. E to the x power equals 81. E to the x power equals 81. Okay, so it's an E. So instead of logging both sides, what do you think we're gonna do? Good. Natural log both sides. So ln both sides, in other words. It's really not too hard. So I want ln e to the x equals ln 81. And the x is pushed to the front. So I have x ln e equals ln 81. Now, I don't know if you remember this, but there's an imaginary e down here. What is the value of the natural log of e? How do I get from what exponent gets me from e to e? 1. Yeah, e is, but it's just 1. So dividing by ln e doesn't do anything. But if you want to do it, that's fine. So you're going to divide both sides by ln e, which is a value of 1. Okay, let's use our calculator. Where is ln at? It's right below log. Okay, it's right here. It's below the log, capital Ln. You see it? So we want Ln, and then the E is above the division key. You better look for it, or you're not going to be able to do it on your own. This is one you have to try. So Ln is below log, and E is the division, so second division key, close parentheses. Oh, I'm sorry, I should say Ln 81. So Ln 81 divided by Ln E. And you get 4.39. So x is 4.39. And guys, you can come back here and test it. If you take e to the 4.9 power, you should get, 4.39, I'm sorry. If you take e to the 4.39 power, you should get 81. Yeah. Okay, all right. You're done for notes, so you can work on your assignment.